A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My salutations to the financial wizards, the financial leaders of India Incorporated. Ladies and gentlemen, when I see you here, I feel so elated. एक शेर है कि मंजिल मिल ही जाएगी थोड़ा भटक कर ही सही, मंजिल मिल ही जाएगी थोड़ा भटक कर ही सही, गुमराह तो वो है जो घरों से निकले ही नहीं. On a Saturday morning, after having darshan of Golden Temple, a person was there at 10 o'clock. Again, my handfelt salutations to them. It is great to see because you are the people who are ultimately responsible for making India a world leader. I can tell you, as the 73rd president of ICAI, whenever I go outside India, to our chapters, we have presences in close to 85 cities of the world. I see bureaucrats, I see local CPS getting attracted to you. They want to speak to you, they want to understand what we study, how we perform, and what is the reason why we are so responsible. So now, Indians are ruling the roost all across the globe. Wherever you go, you'll find people having fanatic emotions to speak to you, to talk to you and understand your way of life, your studies. So I'll start the presentation which has been given to me. So gentlemen, we now go ahead from finance strategists to visionary leaders. CFO to CEO is a dream run. How you achieve that? We have certain issues which we will discuss during the course of my presentation. But three important things before I start my presentation. The first important thing. Ultimately, a man who has the valor, who has the vision to perform, goes to the top. You have to nurture that vision. You have to understand and feel that if you want to perform and become a CEO, apart from your financial skills, you need to understand strategies. You need to understand leadership. And more importantly, you need to understand the business. If I speak about chartered accountants' perspective, I was very pleasantly surprised. I met a group of chartered accountants who came to meet me. They're not CFOs, they're business heads. They understand the business, they drive the business and put the business to unprecedented heights. How wonderful it is. A chartered accountant trained in finance, leading the role of finance for 20 years and then stepping into business and performing there. Second important thing, the training which we had. As chartered accountants, we do a training of 3 years, which has now been reduced as per international best practices for 2 years. That training ultimately gives us the impetus to understand and to deliver. And third and final thing, our course curriculum. I want to tell you, earlier we used to change the course after 10 years, then after 5 years, and now we are contemplating to do it the moment we need. The corporate world wants it. If a chartered accountant has to go and work in a corporate, we want him to be an asset. As the 73rd president of the institute, I want to tell you that we spend a lot of time on the students who are going to be ultimately the brand ambassadors of this profession. What you intend to have, may it be artificial intelligence, may it be sustainability, may it be ESG, may it be derivatives, may it be drafting skills. We train them at the highest level, and now we have allowed them to go for industrial training also, so that 1 year they can go and spend with the industry, so they are ultimately absorbed by that industry. The journey beyond numbers, it is not a change in title, it is an evolution in perspective. You know that finance today fuels leadership. Where you have finance, you have leadership, but largely CFOs are no longer confined to numbers. They are now shaping business. They are giving perspective to business. And more importantly, they are giving a new vision to the business they belong. I come to a negative side of business. Not all business flourish and prosper. I have a lot of meetings with people who have done turnaround in businesses. We have a committee for members in industry and business. We have an award 40 under 40. And the second award, Business Excellence Awards. What do we see in those awards? 40 and under 40, we see how they have come up to this level. What took them there? But when you go to Business Excellence Awards, we sit how they did turnovers. I have examples of scores of CFOs who bailed out the companies from tough times. Mind my words which I am telling you. Companies which were bailed by their CFOs. On the face value of CFOs, the lending institution came forward and gave more exposures, and the CFO ensured that exposure ultimately leads to the progress of the company. Even in IBC, I made a presentation before the parliament on 6th. So when the parliamentarians asked me what is the basic purpose of IBC, I said there are two purposes. Number one, it's a reform process. And if you look at it, after IBC came into perspective, Indian bosses have done unprecedented heights. If you track the markets, even yesterday when the Bihar results were coming, the markets had a great tailspin, and from there they recovered, and they are at near all-time high. And it's only a matter of time when we cross the all-time high. The reason is reforms. Reforms that ultimately give an exit to an investor, an exit to a person who is a creditor if he finds that debt servicing is not being done. But the basic purpose of IBC is not to give or liquidate companies. The basic purpose is to find a person who could come and step into that company, acquire that company, and see all employees and MSME involved with the company are not taken for a ride. You have to revive the company. I want to tell you, maximum cases where revival has been done is done by the CFOs. Today you are CFOs. Think of a person who joins that industry. He has a dream in mind that he wants to become a CFO. But after performing as a CFO, your perspectives should match that you have to become the CEO. A word rewritten by change. I'll come to a very system-driven issue. You are aware that big business ecosystem is prone to constant change. Change is there, but more importantly, now it is driven by technology. When you speak of technology, I'll again focus on this. It is not only artificial intelligence, blockchains. It includes Internet of Things, data analytics, very, very importantly. Cybersecurity audits, information security audits. Chartered accountants have a different thought process. A person who understands audit, a person who's done his articleship in audit, wherever he goes in finance, he goes in business, he has at the back of mind the financial reporting. And very importantly, Internet of Things drives us to data analytics, exception reporting. What do you have to, you see, at times, oil was everything. Then came gold. Today, data is everything. But the only problem with data is that you may have data and you may not be able to use that data. Somebody told me that there are wide fluctuations in the market after budget. उन्होंने मुझसे कहा कि नंदा साहब अगर 2 दिन पहले भी बजट आपको मिल जाए तो यकीन जानिए आप पढ़कर समझ नहीं सकते कि मार्केट कहां जाएगी. How to use that data, how to make analysis so that you are able to effectively report to the audit committee or to the board is very important. You speak of information system audit. You'll be happy to know that your institute, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, which was set up an Act of Parliament way back on 1st July 1949, when the most important document to the democracy, the Constitution was not promulgated. You are aware that the Constitution to this great country was promulgated on 26 January 1950. The pertinent question that arises is, what prompted the Constituent Assembly to set up an Institute of Chartered Accountants of India when its own democratic setup was not in place? The answer is very candid, very simple, very forthcoming. They were looking for a disciplined band of soldiers to steer this country out of confusion and put it on the path of perpetual growth and advancement. And there we are, the financial soldiers of this great Republic of India. Ladies and gentlemen, I come and touch two important things. Cyber security audits, maybe some CISA people will do that, but information system audit is totally our forte. And we'll be very happy to know that your institute is now coming out maximum in a month Information System Audit Standards, the first time in the globe. That will tell you whatever you feed in the system, whatever inference you draw from that, whether it is correct or not, whether it is to be used or not. So data analytics coupled with information system, you will be able to create such wellers which will help you take informed decisions. Sustainability, ESG, we have set up, our institute has set up our own sustainability standards. We had the chair of USTAD. CFOs are fully equipped of this fact. But still, if you want, you need training somewhere. At the institute, we have all courses running. Artificial intelligence, we have a committee AI in ICAI. And I want to tell you, on 1st July 2024, we thought that we should have a certification course on AI. Today, we have more than 30,000 chartered accountants who have done their certification in AI. Stakeholder activism, how they understand, how they are able to involve, how they are able to give their feedbacks, and very effectively the board is able to assimilate those feedbacks and come out with plausible solutions is again very important thing. कहते हैं ना, सोचने से कहाँ मिलते हैं तमन्नाओं के शहर, सोचने से कहाँ मिलते हैं तमन्नाओं के शहर, चलने की जिद भी जरूरी है मंजिल पाने के लिए. We need a total change in the mindset to perform. CFO turnover India surged to 24% in 2024, up from 15% in 2023, which shows dynamic leadership skills, and dynamic leadership leads. It is not something which is in a bad taste. Turnover normally is taken in a negative sense, but turnover of CFO speaks of a change in the corporate policies, a change in the corporate perspective. And more importantly, high movement across industry signals that CFOs are being sought as adaptive leaders in uncertain times. As a young boy, when I used to see one CFO or CEO resigning and this particular share going down, I could never understand the person going, what difference does it make? Today, I understand. With my exposure of 40 years, today I understand one-man armies drive organizations, drive corporates. And therefore, their graduation, their maturity is very, very important. The CFO's strategic edge. CFOs have analytical depth and disciplined execution. One who deals with finance, if he is not disciplined, he is gone. And very importantly, execution at the right time is very, very important. I know people taking derivative calls, people writing options with respect to foreign currencies, maybe a number of you are masters in it. So timely execution and understanding is very important. So maybe a number of you would have started when accounting standards were there, not there. And most of you, when we brought in IFRS and coined them as Ind AS, but now you understand that, and that shows your approach to performance, financial discipline and data-driven clarity. I don't want to praise my profession, but I want to tell you, 81% of international data initiatives emerged from India. And close to 92 from all three countries put together, India, Bangladesh and Pakistan. We understand technology from the very inception, and we know how to frame that and use that for our benefit. How to put certain jobs which are bored into something that has clarity and has proper arithmetic correction. Strategic forecasting and agility in volatility, very, very important. Governance acumen and ethical steadiness. We understand how ethically we have to perform. There are certain issues with respect to ethics, and I want to tell you that we are now revising our code of ethics with international ISBA. The reason is very simple, that we want a CFO to be ready so that he is not only needed in India. If you want to join an international company, he is more welcome to do that. So, no wonders why boardrooms are increasingly turning CFOs as CEOs in waiting. I have some relationship with corporates. When I speak to promoters, they have one very clear-cut vision. This CFO is performing, and he has to be ultimately graduated as a CEO. I've spoken to a number of them, and this is at the back of mind. And this speaks very well of the skills which we have. The global evidence speaks. Nearly half of today's global CEOs were once CFOs. As a CFO, when you take control over finances, over taxes, you understand the business and you are fully equipped to take over the reins as a CEO. Financial fluency has become a prized leadership trait. We understand finance and maybe we do not value ourselves that much. But when you tell a person that you are a financial wizard, you look at the respect in their eyes. I travel so much. I normally do not speak to my neighbor sitting beside me. But the moment I tell him I am a chartered accountant, how long the flight, he will not leave me. साहब हमारा इन्वेस्टमेंट उसको कैसे करना है, साहब मेरी वाइफ के शेयर्स इधर पड़े उसको कैसे करना है, सर हमने प्रॉपर्टी बेची कैसे करना है. When you tell that you are a chartered accountant, then you have so flux of questions that it will journey maybe 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. The questions will never stop. So we are termed as financial wizards because we understand how to give plausible solutions. Again, boardrooms across industries prefer leaders who understand both profits and purpose. When we speak about profit and purpose, I am reminded of a very important thing. Times are gone when bourses and stock exchanges were influenced by financial data. Today, non-financial data is very, very important. The best of the government companies having carbon credits, having sustainability policies, ESG reporting, they are the companies which is taken at the largest level. And I went to Saudi Arabia some 10 days back, and I was taken aback, the regulator meeting me and asking about how to do non-financial reporting. So non-financial reporting today has become very important, and as CFOs, I request you to have mastery on that if you want to go ahead for becoming a CEO. From balance sheets to boardrooms, we understand balance sheets very well, but you have to act as a strategist, partner and visionary. Your thinking is very important. कहते हैं ना, ढूंढोगे घर तो ही रास्ते मिलेंगे, ढूंढोगे घर तो ही रास्ते मिलेंगे, मंजिलों की फितरत है खुद चलकर नहीं आती. We have a very humble beginning. Normally, chartered accountant students belong to humble backgrounds, middle class families. First, they come and join a company, understand, then they grow up to become a CFO. But by the time they become a CFO, they have the entire world with them. They understand each and everything, and they understand how a strategy works and what is the vision to go and take the company to unprecedented heights. 50% CFOs transition internally into CEO or divisional CEO roles. A very leading newspaper has published this research report. So it is very pertinent that you have to ultimately go ahead to become a CEO. How you become a CEO, what are the skill sets is very, very important. Board confidence in CFO succession has grown over 30%. I know maximum promoters and management having faith in CFOs. The reason, CFO is the man who ultimately drives the organization. CFO is the man who ultimately creates that value, what is required. I know so many CFOs coming and asking for lower interest funds. Why? Because they understand the value of lesser finance and how it translates into equitable profits. This ultimately CFO's role has matured into prime leadership pipeline for our organization worldwide. Leave aside India, internationally also CFOs are people who ultimately drive to become CEOs. Now, transition from finance leader to enterprise leader. Again, a very important step. You have to expand your roles. 10 years from now, you will see CFOs performing in different roles. I tell you, technology has a great role to play in it. 10, 12 years back, if you go and see, the CFOs were struggling with numbers, balance sheets. And if I go in my times, आप रात को पूरा खाना नहीं खाती थी, आपकी माँ पूछती थी खाना क्यों नहीं खा रहे, कहते अम्मा ट्रायल बैलेंस नहीं मिल रहा. कितना फर्क है, 700 रुपए. माँ कहती खाना का 700 मुझसे पकड़ ले. आज आपने कभी ट्रायल के इश्यू में तो आपने ये रातें देखी होंगी, ट्रायल नहीं मिल रहा, सोच सोच के दिमाग लगा कर अब सब खत्म हो गया. विद टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रायल मिलना तो कभी इश्यू ही नहीं है. आई वाज सिटिंग विद वन ऑफ द आरओसीज. दूसरे कमिश्नर नंदा, पहले हमारा फोकस होता था कंप्लायंस विद रिस्पेक्ट टू फाइलिंग ऑफ रिटर्न्स. आज फाइलिंग का तो इश्यू नहीं है, फाइलिंग होते ही अब 12 बजे फाइलिंग करो, 12:05 पे हमारे पास पूरा एक्सेप्शन रिपोर्टिंग, पूरा एनालिसिस आता है। अब हम एनालिसिस पर काम करते हैं। कभी सोचा था हमने आरओसी एनालिसिस पे काम करेंगे? अब आप छोटी सी गलती कीजिए, आपको नोटिस आ जाएगा। वो रेशियोज देख रहे हैं। I was with the MC secretary 3 days back with all 3 institute presidents, secretaries, and close to 10-12 CF firms. We were discussing something, how to make CF firms large. The dream of Honorable Prime Minister, large homegrown CF firms. So I could focus. The areas we are now working has started. So as CFOs, you have graduated on that ground, but skill growth has to include. You have to report the strategies of growth. You have to create amalgamations. You have to work on tax planning. Again, very important, because ultimately these things, when you add value to the company's perspective, you are graduated to become a CEO. You have to manage cost to drive value. Very important. You used to, and you today also manage cost, but to drive value. Today ethics have become very important. Conflicts and their resolution has become very important. There are conflicts report also now coming. As investigators, I want to tell you, your institute, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, has promulgated 23 forensic standards, which is the first and unique in this world. You use IFRS, you use Ind AS, and we pay royalty to IFRS Foundation situated in London. You will be happy to know that the entire world now wants to pay royalty to us for using our global financials, global forensic standards. Look at the paradigm shift. Now we have at global forensic standards. A person sitting in Frankfurt, in New Jersey, Toronto or Dhaka, we have such forensic tools and standards that sitting anywhere, he can use our standards. And very importantly, when you do investigations, you don't only do investigation on financial data, you do investigations on conflicts. You do investigation on protocolic issues. So when you speak about conflicts, CFO is the man who understands conflict resolution and conflict mitigation. Financial prudence to corporate purpose. We have a purpose. We understand the mission and vision of the company and how to achieve that. So along with financial prudence, which is in our blood, we have to graduate and go ahead in larger numbers. The mindset that makes the leap. Now I come on to the mindset. Very, very important. The mindset of a man makes a man. और माइंडसेट वो चीज है जो समय के साथ आपको मैच्योर होकर बदलती रहती है. It is not something which you are born with and you carry that. It has to be largely positive. But ultimately, when you have more information, you are able to assimilate that information to create value. Leaders must understand transition. Very, very important. Leaders must understand strategic storytelling and communication mastery. Why chartered accountants have come to this level? And tell you, chartered accountants, the day they qualify, they are technically very sound. A scripture, पत्थर को तराश के मूर्ति बनाता है और आप ताउम्र उस मूर्ति के सामने माथा टेकते हैं. उर्दू में एक बहुत उम्दा शेर है. I am in the habit of saying couplets. I'll keep on saying couplets. वो कहते हैं बुतों तारीफ है तुम पर. बुत means statue, मुजस्मा. बुतों तारीफ है तुम पर, तरक्की इसको कहते हैं. बुतों तारीफ है तुम पर, तरक्की इसको कहते हैं. ना तराशे थे तो पत्थर थे, तराशे तो खुदा निकले. अब पत्थर को तराश कर खुदा की मूर्ति में तब्दील करते हैं और ताउम्र उसके सामने सर झुकाते हैं. हम चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट वही करते हैं. आई एम नॉट ट्राइंग टू ब्लो माय ओन ट्रेंड. I have seen chartered accountants transforming themselves first with respect to technical skills, and when they come to some positions with respect to their communication, writing and drafting skills. How great, how phenomenal this is. Strategic storytelling. They said Mr. Anurag Batra yesterday spoke about storytelling, one of the wonderful traits which we have, because with experience which you gather overall your life, you are able to envisage things, you are able to envision things, and vision is something that drives. आप में से कितने लोग डिज्नीलैंड गए? आप में से कोई एनाहाम डिज्नीलैंड गया जो पहला डिज्नीलैंड था? You come to San Francisco, from there you drive down to Los Angeles, across the Pacific Ocean, और वहां से आप एनहाम जाते हैं. When the first Disneyland was made and inauguration was being done, Walt Disney had passed 13 years back. So his nephew Ray was leading the entire show. When the ribbon was cut, a journalist said in a very sad voice, he said, "It is so unfortunate. Had Walt Disney been alive today, he would have seen this." Roy immediately rebuked that journalist. He said, "You can never understand. Walt Disney saw this 13 years back, and therefore it is in perspective today." Storytelling, creating dreams, अपने ख्वाबों की ताबीर करना. और हम तो वो लोग हैं, कहते हैं ना, कि कुछ लोग आए, वक्त के सांचे में ढल गए. कुछ लोग आए, वक्त के सांचे में ढल गए, और आप जैसे कुछ लोग आए, जो वक्त के सांचे बदल गए. As a community, we have changed the entire system. As a community, the entire world respects us. If you go to ministries, you go to the PMO, they understand that they are ultimately the architects of modern India, who have fueled us with power, with strength, and particularly with liquidity to counter the entire world. Digital data and foresight, very important. Digital knowledge. If you understand how you have to use the digital knowledge, if you have the proper skill sets, you have the data and foresight to perform, very, very important. Foresight is very important. The vision which you see is very important. And very importantly, your role in artificial intelligence, automation defines business. Any monotonous work now has to be given to automation so that you are able to ultimately perform at the highest level. And a tech-empowered CFO paves the path to a tech-savvy CEO. Lot of your work technology can take on, so that you are only into analysis, only into performance and delivering results. The moment you do that, you are exactly doing the role which is envisaged, which is expected of a CEO. The DNA of a future CEO. There are future-ready thought processes, your vision for future, strategic foresight, business model innovation. Models have to be created, and with disruptive technologies. Think of people who have created. I know so many people. At least I know 100 to 200 chartered accountants who are below 30 years of age and are multimillionaires. I was speaking to one of my clients in US. Amidst the conversation, he said, "Mr. Nanda, who's your mentor?" अचानक मेरी निगाहों के सामने सारे सीनियर कौम गए. इससे पहले कि मैं जवाब देता, he concluded the conclusion. He said, "Mr. Nanda, if you don't have a mentor who's below 30 years of age, you're wasting your time." Please understand, we have so much to think and take from our younger generation. If you want to dream, if you want to create infrastructures, blueprints, something need to propel you, and that cannot go along with you. We have got great, rich experience, but something which comes from the other side will help us perform. Sharp strategic foresight, very, very important. What you want, how you have to work, how you have to take your industry to the top. Stakeholder communication, very, very important. You see best of the industries. You look at Tata, somebody from Tata here, their stakeholder communication is excellent. You do a function in Taj. I'm sitting in some other hotel, but I'm just trying to tell you. You'll see how they will keep on asking your feedbacks, what was there, how it was there. I should not be saying much about it, but I'll give an example. When I became the president, it is customary to throw a party. So on 12th February 2025, I had a party at Taj, Dholakwa, Chanakyapuri. So I have lived my life in Delhi, and as a student leader, people knew me. So the minimum guarantees, which was given 5 times, the minimum guarantee people came. So I was on the board, on the dais, having bukeys. पर मैं पूरा पसीने से लथपथ हो गया. मैंने कहा, इन लोगों को खाना कैसे खिलाएंगे? मैं ब्रदर कुड अंडरस्टैंड द सेंट कि भैया क्या टेंशन में रहे हो. मैंने कहा, बुलाओ एक बार शेफ को, खाना कैसे खिलाएंगे? When the chef came up, I said, भाई, I'll pay whatever you want. उसने कहा, नंदा साहब चिंता मत करें, अगर ताज से कोई भूखा चला गया तो कुछ नहीं बचेगा. I can never forget this thing. मेरी जिंदगी को जो भी फंक्शन होगा, I'm not trying to propagate and tell you that you should go to Taj. मेरा उनसे कोई रिलेशनशिप नहीं, मेरा उनके पास कोई शेयर नहीं है, लेकिन जो उन्होंने मुझे वहां पर फेथ दिया, I again smiled back. कितने लोग हैं आप समझ सकते हो किसी होटल में आपको इतना खाना खिला सकते हैं और अगर नंदा साहब यहाँ से एक चीज भी कम होगी तो आप हमें कह देना. And that happened. Everybody was fed very well, not even snacks, not even. So this speaks of the vision which they carry. अब वहाँ कुछ भी मांग लें. You ask for a shoe shiner for a shoe that is coarse, they will give you. You ask for some scented oil for your hair, they will give you. Same thing on boardrooms. If we understand what is expected of us and we keep everything, it ultimately helps us to have the DNA of a future CEO. The global and Indian landscape, we have to merge both of them. I want to tell you something. Nearly 11% of CFOs advance directly to CEO roles. Directly. The board says from tomorrow you are the CEO. About 40% now prioritize the CEO position as their ultimate career goal. इसका मतलब है 40% of the people sitting here dream to become CEOs. मुझे तो लगता है 100% है, लेकिन चलो इकोनॉमिक टाइम्स की बात मान लेते हैं. 45% people want to become CEOs and are ready to work for it. Fast evolving sectors such as technology, infrastructure, fintech experience gives higher impetus to you for your graduation, for your maturity. Please understand the rising aspirations of CFOs would ensure that we move ahead. Indian CFOs, a new power core. You'll be happy to know. Internationally, I'll give you an example. We have a World Forum of Accountants. That is the last slide, but I'll just tell you. World Forum of Accountants is something which can be termed as a flagship event of ICAI. We are doing it on 30th and 31st January and 1st of February in Greater Noida. When we did the World Congress, which was given to us after 108 years, at the validity session, the ICAI Vice President came and said, she said, I don't feel that any country in the world can follow this, repeat this. The hospitality, the caring nature of Indians, and the number of participants, we have close to 10,000 participants. And he said, we scrap World Congress because I don't feel that this level of indulgence by membership can be seen in any other country. And then we started World Forum. Today we have World Forum. Who is the CFO of Tesla? Can anybody tell me? Group CFO? कौन है जी? मैडम जोर से बोलिए. I could not listen you. Indian CA. क्या नाम है उनका? Yes. Vaibhav is a chartered accountant. His father also chartered, and his elder brother is a very good friend of mine. So maybe Vaibhav will come and speak at the World Forum. 1167 crores is salary. Why he is needed there? He is indispensable to Musk. The reason is very simple. The training, the system and vision which he carries forth, and this is the CFO's power. The CFO transition reality check. Please understand, 70% CFOs exit role because of expectation gaps. They are very ambitious and want to go to the dream company. 48% depart because of mandate misalignment and only 20% due to performance. And third important thing, clear role alignment, clear graduation path, clear thought process of moving ahead is very important. Ethics. I told you, it is the heartbeat of leadership. If you are ethical, you grow up to any level. I have seen people in Tata's particularly growing from normal levels to lead the organization. I know so many one-time chartered accountants who joined as CFOs, now as CEOs. ICAI, shaping leaders beyond finance. I've told you something, a lot of things about ICAI. We are pledging ourselves to ensure that our membership gets the best and they're able to move ahead. World Forum of Accountants has said, ICAI mission ahead, Vishwasniya. We have to showcase to the world that we are the best and you can rely on us. So my dear friends, the last slide, 26 seconds are there, but I thought I should speak and finish my presentation on times. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have questions, I'd like to take them. I'll put my cards to you. Anything you want from me or ICAI, we're always there. I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but internationally also. I'll give a small example to you. Can I take 4-5 minutes, madam? 2-3 minutes? Arupma. Can I take 2-3 more minutes? I'll give you an example. हमारी बड़ी हसरत थी कि हम इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट ऑफ सिंगापुर के साथ एमओयू करें. हमने बड़ी खतो किताबत की, कोई मनमाफी जवाब ना मिला. एंड देन केम वर्ल्ड कांग्रेस. तो जियो सेंटर में तशरीफ लाए. जैसा कि कस्टमरी था, अवर प्रेसिडेंट रिक्वेस्टेड हिम टू जॉइन अवर BKC building. Although reluctant, he came to see the building. The moment he entered the building, he was taken aback. He said, "Oh my God, what a great, beautiful, outrageous, splendid, marvelous, fantabulous building it is." Our president very humbly said, he said, "Sir, we have more than 130 such buildings in the country." 2022 की बात, अभी तो 160 हो गई. He went back and wrote, he said, "I don't feel it appropriate to have an MOU with Institute of Chartered Accountants of India because it entails two parties, one a giver and taker. Rather, I want to make a unilateral announcement. The announcement which he said puts India on an envious position compared to the counterparts of the world." He said, "Any Indian chartered accountant who remains in Singapore for more than 6 months, for reason whatsoever, shall assume to have the leadership, shall assume to have the membership of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Singapore." सिर्फ 6 महीने रहने से, बिना कोई एग्जाम दिए, आप एप्लीकेशन देकर बिकम अ मेंबर ऑफ द इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स ऑफ सिंगापुर. कहते ना, देते ना थे जो जवाब, उनके सलाम आने लगे. देते ना थे जो जवाब, उनके सलाम आने लगे. वक्त बदला तो मेरे नीम के पेड़ पर आम आने लगे. Thanks, Business World, for giving me the opportunity to speak to you. I'm really very happy and elated to speak to such elite class like yours. Always there. Let us all work together to make our country a great economic world power, empower your companies where you work, and ensure that your institute becomes the best institute of the world. Thank you. Thank you so much.